No. I'm still thinking about it.
Well, like they tell me, no guts, no glory. Let's have a look, see what's going on outside right now in the Wichita area. We still have some drizzle in the air. Temperature 58 degrees. Our dew point 56. Relative humidity 93%. Barometer 29.96 inches and steady. We have south winds at 16 miles an hour. Across Kansas, we are seeing a little bit of sunshine in southwestern Kansas, 64 degrees. In Liberal right now, 60 degrees in the Dodge City area. However, a lot of stations are reporting light rain or drizzle, but it's just too light to be detected on radar. The temperature's still in the low to mid 50s across most of the northern sections with upper 50s across the south. Our satellite picture gives you an idea, though, what's going on. Notice the circulation around a low-pressure system just to the west of the Oberlin and McCook area. This low-pressure system is still pulling a lot of moisture up from an abundant moisture source down in southern Texas, and that is Hurricane Rosalind. Still a hurricane, actually, in western Mexico, and still bringing a lot of moisture up across that area. There's already been 2 to 3 inches of rain in the last 24 hours across southeastern Oklahoma and in northeastern Texas. They're looking for 5 more inches of rain across eastern Texas for tonight and tomorrow morning. But for our area, this low cloudiness is moving northward out of the area, so we may see a few breaks in the clouds late this afternoon in south central Kansas. Our forecast map for 7 o'clock tonight shows the low pressure system moving into eastern Nebraska. Most of the precipitation associated with the low will be across Missouri and into Iowa, while moisture from Hurricane Rosalind will be feeding Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. By 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, however, that low-pressure system will be weakening into western Iowa. The precipitation will be right across Missouri once again and to Illinois. But with the colder air filtering in from high pressure in Canada, we'll still see some light rain or drizzle across western Nebraska and northwestern Kansas later tonight and into tomorrow morning. Our forecast then looks like this. We'll see mostly cloudy skies across the area. Once again, see a little bit of sun in southwestern Kansas. Thus, we're looking for temperatures in the middle 60s for today. But across the rest of the area, the temperatures will be slow to rise. We'll see 63 in Wichita, 61 in the Salina area, and only 57 in the Oberlin area with occasional light rain or drizzle. Then for tonight, we'll see a little bit of the clouds break up in south central Kansas. Temperatures will be getting much cooler as temperatures will drop down to the mid to upper 40s for tonight. Most of the light rain and drizzle will be confined, though, to northwestern Kansas and across eastern Kansas. Look at the low tonight in Oberlin, 40 degrees. So it's going to be a chilly evening for those of you in the Oberlin area, also back in the Goodland where you could see 38 tomorrow morning. In the meantime, for Thursday, we'll start to see the clouds break up some more across the area. I still think we'll see a lot of cloudiness, but we should see the clouds and the sun alternate turns. Temperatures will be mostly until the middle 60s. And then our extended forecast is a lot of the cloudiness will be out of the area. Look for mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies with temperatures this weekend in the low 70s. Good. Don't put away the barbecue yet.
Turn that furnace off again.
Yes.
On and off.
On. That's what mine did yesterday. On, off.
Getting exercise.
Today it tapped me on the shoulder and said, make up my mind, please. We do have some rain showers over in eastern Kansas. Let's go to the weather radar out of Wichita. We'll give you an idea where these rain showers are. They're stretching from just east of Beloit, all through the Salina area, and then down towards through Emporia, and then all the way down into the Tulsa area. The heaviest precipitation seems to be around Coffeyville and Independence right now, moving to the northeast at around 20 miles an hour. And these rain showers, even though our radar is not picking up, does extend all the way over into western Missouri, and they are going to continue to move to the northeast through the morning hours. So I think the rain will be tapering off momentarily in the Salina area, but we do have some other rain showers way up in northwestern Kansas. Let's go to the National Weather Service radar out of Goodland, Kansas. We can see some rain showers, even some thunderstorms right around the Oberlin area, stretching back to around Colby. These two are moving off to the east-northeast at around 20 to 25 miles an hour.
That this forecast is something to pay attention to. The Palm Sunday outbreak back in the 1960s, the super outbreak in 1974, the outbreak that we had here in 1990, and 2004 is another great example that we've had tornadic activity here, as well as 2000.
When we did the study in Oklahoma City after their tornado, the walls that remained standing were the ones that had the cabinets bolted to them. So you have this for additional support.
Remember that the sirens themselves are an outdoor warning system, and sirens sound to tell you you need to be indoors and get to a place of safety.
Now back here in Moore, Oklahoma, the wind has picked up a little bit, which just explains the change in equipment that we're using here now. You can probably see or feel the wind for now, but thank goodness the wind here is not nearly as bad as it was 48 hours ago. And joining me now is a man who's in charge of keeping track of the winds in this area, which is a really big job, as you can probably imagine. Daniel McCarthy, you're with the National Weather Service, is that it?
Yes, I'm with the Storm Prediction Center here, located in Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay, and you guys were basically staying on top of this storm. in its earliest stages. When did you know that you had a big one coming in?
Well, actually, we started to see changes come in when we started to get the upper air data that morning. We started to see stronger winds coming up from Texas, as well as stronger winds coming around the south base of the trough here across New Mexico and Arizona.
So what was it about this system and the way it built that was so different?
Well, what was different about this was not only the amount of warm moisture that we had across Texas into Oklahoma, but also the strength of the mid-level system coming across the southern Rockies. The strength of the dry line, which is the difference between the moist air and the dry air across Texas, was really starting to strengthen during the day.
So when did you have an idea, or when did you know that you might be looking at an F5?
Well, you really can't tell by looking at the conditions whether you're going to get an F5 damaged tornado, but you're starting to look at conditions that were starting to strengthen as far as the amount of unstable air that was present, as well as the amount of winds that could inflow into the dry line itself.
Now, did you learn anything from the way this one unfolded and the way it traveled? Because I keep hearing that it's so unusual for one to stay on the ground for so long, and this one was on the ground for 4 hours.
Well, what's unusual about this is that we did get a storm that was classic in supercell structure like we had the other day. What you couldn't tell is whether we were really going to get one. There are many times that we see conditions like this that point to the potential for severe storms and tornadic activity like this. Sometimes we don't get it. But in this classic case, we did get one, and unfortunately, it did create the amount of damage it did.
Now we have to go, but do you expect any more things like this summer?
Well, that's hard to tell whether we're going to get any more of this through the next month and a half. Right now we're going to go into a couple days where we are going to get quiet for a little time period, and then we'll start to see if a new system that's now forming up in the northwest is going to potentially build into the central plains.
All right, Daniel Mccarthy, you got a lot of us knocking on wood for you. All right, good luck for you.
Our job is to forecast where storms are going to be before they form.
And Dan McCarthy is a mesoscale meteorologist at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you very much for being here. How do you answer the question why? If a hurricane is a sledgehammer, it seems like a tornado is a jeweler's lathe. It carves a path kind of precisely. Is there any sort of pattern, any sort of intelligence, any sort of predictability to that path, Dan?
Well, I think there is, not exactly to the path, but I think there is predictability to the environment that we expect tornadoes and supercell storms to develop. Yesterday in particular, we had very strong low-level flow coming out of South Texas, bringing a lot of moisture into the Oklahoma area. And on top of that, we had a shortwave trough or another storm system that was coming out of the Rockies, and that was bringing cooler air and drier air into this air mass. And usually when you get that clash, you get storms rapidly develop in the afternoon like we did yesterday.
Dan McCarthy, how big was this storm?
This storm was pretty big. I just got done spending a month talking about the 25th anniversary of the super outbreak back in April 1974. But this particular storm even beat some of the big storms during that outbreak. When you get a tornado that produced a line of 60-mile wide or 60-mile long F4 to F5 damage and killing 38 people and injuring hundreds of people, we're talking about one tornado with a lot of devastation that really matches one of the tornadoes, particularly the Xenia tornado, during that particular outbreak.
Xenia, Ohio, which actually holds the record, at least in contemporary times, for largest death toll in the
Well,
United
that
States.
particular storm killed 35 people. Where you're talking about the outbreak that we talk about of the century, that where 148 tornadoes occurred in 16 hours. This particular tornado that started off down in Chickasha and went through Oklahoma City is probably going to be talked about as one of the strongest tornadoes, not only in Oklahoma, but will be well talked about at least in the 1900s.